never been around so many people that look like me that were going towards the same goal. It was so different from when I was at UT. It was this many people at UT, and that's all you saw. But there was so many people, and I feel like, Lavelle, did we have a class together? Did you have Miss Bobo in history?
Yeah, Miss Bobo. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we were in the same class.
We had braids back then, though. So that's
it. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. But I loved it, and the people I met are my lifelong friends to this day. They're my son's aunts and uncles now, and I just think it made a different world for me, for real. Like, I grew up there. I really grew up there, and I messed up there, and I survived there. I cried there. I laughed there. Got my car towed, all kind of stuff.
I think one of the main things that goes unnoticed that I loved about being on campus is just how many like creators and trendsetters, live on campus or are just on campus attending either class or attending, the student center, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it was like little mini businesses on campus that might go unnoticed, right? So you get, my next door neighbor in Watson Hall, who's a chef now, Chef Keith Batts, he had he had a full kitchen set up, on the second floor of Watson Hall, where if you were hungry, you go get a fish sandwich, you go get a fried bologna sandwich, some chicken tenders. You know what I'm saying? You had, of course, you had the party promoters
chicken tenders.
That are now, you had the Black Robs that were party promoters back in the day, but now they're club owners and restaurant and lounge owners. You know what I'm saying? You had, somebody with their own radio show. You know what I mean? This was killing it then, killing it now. You had your first barbers and hairdressers, and they were making money on campus and figuring out ways to live, you know what I'm saying, and support themselves on campus through commerce. And it wasn't, they weren't just doing it half-assed, like they were good at what they did. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it was so many different little mini industries on campus that used to go unnoticed. And then you look fast forward to now, and these people are still like flourishing in their craft. So it's like living in a black, in a black community, an extension of the black community, full of like young creators and people full of talent that, challenge you to think differently and think, more innovative. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, I'll never forget, we had guys taking bets on video games. You know what I'm saying? That was the original, what's the betting sites now? I mean, we had that on campus back in 2003. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody going around collecting bets and bookies on campus, but
e-gaming.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were, I just look back at like so many different people who were making a living early on and are doing those same things now, and they were learning how to not only build their businesses on campus, but how to deal with people. You know what I mean? And learn how to manage people, because people from Nashville act different than people from Miami. People from Miami act different than people from Memphis. And it's just like you were just learning, people, and if you paid attention closer, business as well.
Yeah. Now I would say, I look back and it's crazy, but at Tennessee State, I've got, I can think about Tina Ackland, Tremaine Davis, Jessica Washington. I mean, so many people, Chauncey Davis, like so many people that I started with, I went to Meharry with, right? So when I think about the talent pool that we had there, these people, not just went to class, they were successful in class and then transferred. I know we're talking about TSU a little bit because we all went there. But for me, I'll tell you a little bit about a different HBCU, and that's Meharry.
Yeah, please do, because I know for people that don't know what Meharry is, and I think it's important because a lot of people are unfamiliar, and that's something that they definitely need to get familiar with when we talk about historically black colleges. Let's throw our medical colleges in there.
So there are four. There are four, and I might educate just a little bit. So there used to be significantly more, but 1910, they came out with something called the Wexner Report. And this was a report that came out, and essentially it kneecapped Black medical education. There were, I think, 12 Black medical schools at the time, and they knocked it down to it was just Meharry and Howard. That was it in 1910. And their theory for leaving those two open basically was that these individuals would be sanitarians. They thought that Black people carried diseases. So they would be sanitarians. This is actually, if you look it up, they use this phraseology, sanitarians to protect white people from diseases that Black people had. So they kept those two open. And that caused a decline in Black African-American physicians that, to this day, in 1910, there were about, it was like 4% of the American population were Black physicians. And now we're at about 5.8%. So we haven't made that much headway. And I'll say to you, since then, we've had the onboarding of Morehouse Medical College and then also Drew in California. Those both came in the 70s. But essentially, when you think about a Black medical school, it's what it sounds like. I'll be honest with you. It is a medical school that's catered towards producing physicians that look like us, that come into our communities and take care of us. And the big thing, even right now, when we're talking about COVID, it's trust, right? So when someone is telling you take a shot, do X, Y, Z, it's a lot different if that person looks like you, if they've had the experiences you've had in life, if they also know about Tuskegee experiments. It's just a lot of times, there's been a lot of stuff in history that would really give us hesitation, really, to have, a vaccine shot into you if you don't know. But having these Black physicians helps. And I think back to what somebody said, Wakanda, and I think Clint said a haven, but it really was that at Meharry. I'll tell you, because you walk around and you think that this is what the world is. I mean, I was in a class of 100 people that were going to become physicians. And of that, 90% of them were Black. When I got into my residency in Boston, it was just me. That's it. Just me. And I'll say that when I look at it, at the time, even your enemies, right? I'm not saying enemies, but people you didn't like. Everybody, you're in med school, man, I would take my worst enemy 10 times over before I would take some of the people that were in my, intern year class. Because those individuals there, they know your experience. They know what you're dealing with. And really, what are you arguing over? What do you have differences about? Nothing. But you don't realize it while you're there. But once you get into the real world, right, and you realize that, hey, listen, it's just going to be you. And that happened for so many of us. And so I thank God for social media, because we were able to actually support one another through that, through that process. And I'm sure Dr. Pritchett will talk a little bit about that too, possibly, because I'm sure she experienced some of that too. So,
yeah. Okay. So go ahead, Doctor. Ms. So let's talk about your experience and, the Black experience, the HBCU experience. How did it feel when you, being on campus, and even the extenuation of it now that you're gone and graduated?
So for me, like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood. I was the only Black family. I grew up in a school where, again, very minimal Black people. So when I got to TSU, I was like, my people, where have y'all been? I have yearned for y'all. And it was just, I can't even explain how I look back at pictures and things and just how proud I feel to have been around so many people that are now doing amazing things. Like, we got some dope people that have come out of TSU and just people that have come out of HBCUs in general. But I think the thing I appreciate the most from my time, or one of the things I appreciate the most from my time on campus, is, there are a lot of people you see on a regular, like we just saw Vel and Sharika. You're like, oh, I think we was in camp, we was in school together. But the moment you realize that you know them from your school, it's family, it's love. And I think a lot of the people that I have become closest with that went to TSU, I may have not ever even talked to them at school, but I saw them and then connected with them later on in life. I'm almost, 20 years removed at this point from my time at TSU. And it, to be able to connect with people that I've, never maybe had a conversation, but just we passed each other on campus, and now we are great friends, supporting each other's businesses. It's that that family feeling, that support that happens. Clint, I've never met you before, but I've been at Slim and Huskies plenty of times. It's TSU. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's that I don't know you, but I know you went to my school, so I rock with you. And
Yeah.
it's that vibe that carries on beyond whatever happened. Because, you know, sometimes you in the trenches whenever you in your freshman year, sophomore year. I know I didn't have no car. I didn't have no money. I was out there thugging it. So like, you know, you grow up on these campuses. So then whenever you see people flourishing, the idea of actually supporting one another, you know, bigging up, Courtney, you hit me up, say, hey, you want to be on here? It was, yeah, of course. What time? I'll be there. Just on the strength of it's all love. So that's the thing I think I cherish the most about what I got from my HBCU experience.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I love the fact that we don't talk about, that's why I was asking the experience that you have after the fact. Like we can talk about networking, but it's just deeper than that. Like you become family.
Mm-hmm.
Homecomings is a family whole reunion. And with that experience, it just means a lot. I look forward to that every year. I take off a week to it every year. And
Homecoming almost killed us. Courtney.
We'll talk about that another time. Okay, Freddie B. So tell us about your experience being on campus, and now that you're removed from it, does that experience, are you still having that of the HBCU?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I guess for us, I'll definitely shout out. You know, y'all went to Meharry, and a shout out y'all frat brother Gerald. He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot in the medical area, especially for Black people and stuff like that. So definitely want to shout him out too, because that was family too. You know, it was a bunch of boys on in Alpha Theta that you know, my guys. But I mean, my experience is interesting enough. A tale of two experiences. Like my first half, I got in there. I was young. I wasn't Freddie B. I was just Freddie. I was little Freddie. So I wasn't Freddie B. And I was computer science major. And so I kind of just like was quiet, surprisingly, and just hung with the guys that I knew. And it was a bunch of like older guys that kind of like took me under their wing as like a little brother. Cause like I'm 16 and I turned 17 at the end of the year. And I was in Boyd. I never stayed in Washington. I stayed in Boyd like off rip. So I'm around men. You know, I'm around dudes 19, 20, 21, 22, football team, stuff like that. And a lot of people, they found out I was 16. They was like, oh, that's like little Freddie. So I was like literally like little bro. You know what I mean? I was just following like what they did, like literally just following them around. Then I became Freddie B and I created that show. And that was a second like life. And then I got to really implement myself into TSU and learn about life as a whole, like how to maneuver through life. Because then I started, you know, knowing everybody on campus, and then I'm starting to meet faculty too. Now I'm starting to mix it up with faculty. I'm starting to learn about how to get things done, because Freddie B TV was never a accredited on-campus organization, but I was able to get the Forum, get Gentry Center, get all these places to show my show. And that was just like, it was through work. And that's also the other thing that being at HBCU taught me is, you know, that work, but it was in a comforting environment to where I wasn't alienated just off. Like I walk through a door and I'm automatically alienated because I'm Black and all these people white. You know, it's like I'm Black and I just could be a part of a group. And now it's just based on what I bring and what I offer, like the work. So if I'm putting the work in, I can see the fruits of my labor come to fruition. So then I can pack out the Forum and bring through artists just off the humble, working with Big Boy AJ, working with my man P. Rich, who was at the radio at the time, working with Sherman at the time. He's Morgan now, but at the time he was Sherman. But working with him, you know, doing all these different things and being able to make these moves and being implemented into the student body, and seeing that you only gonna see at HBCU the fabric of Black people, because you got everything at HBCU. You got your nerds who don't know nobody. You got your jocks. You got your football people. You got your nerds who are popular. You got your fraternity members. You got sorority members. You got your Whitleys. You got your corny girls, your weird girls. You got every type of Black person there, which you don't get at PWI. PWI got like just this circle of Black people that you can hang with, but you're not getting that full fabric of Black people that you get at an HBCU. And you see all this. And to tie in what everybody else here said is homecoming, you get a family. So I got a family reunion every year to go to. And I'm well past college age, but every year I can go back home to my family. It don't matter what I did in the world, Like I'm sure Clint, you own Slim Huskies, you get these sponsors, you gotta, button it up. Like, okay, guys, look, listen, this is what I want to do. Just a little bit. I'm sure y'all can relate. All my doctors, everybody, you button it up. You code switch. You code switch a little bit. But when you go to homecoming, you can tap into that primal Black culture. It's culture that we have that hasn't been scrubbed away at a PWI, that we can stay true to ourselves, but we still know what it is when we go out to the public. You know what I mean? It's like we all 6 of us can go out to the public and we know how to bing, bing, bow, tighten it up. Hey, look, hey, relax. We go to homecoming. These niggas out, ugly. Look at this big face. Look at Clint beard. Oh, nappy beard. Like just stuff like that. Big forehead, like. You can just do your thing and ain't nobody there like, oh, okay, can't hire her, can't, I didn't know, okay, relax. And people looking at you weird, cause like right now I'm on a tour, Monster Jam. I'm the only Black person on this tour that's working. I'm the host and I'm me, I just go into things, I just treat people like you're a person. I'm not paying attention to the race. I see that you white, Black or whatever, but I'm about your character, how we gonna rock. Character bad, I ain't gonna rock with you. Character good, let's get it. But I'm sure y'all can relate to, like, you said you was in Boston, Vail was in Boston. Like when you there, like white people make it apparent, like you start to be like, oh damn, you might have forgot, but you don't get reminded that you the only Black person here. Yeah. Like, and then that's what I gotta deal with.
You don't got on the North Face, right? Like you don't know that code. You gotta. Yeah. But exactly. Hey, let me ask you a question, Freddie. Let me ask you a question. Do you think, I heard you mention Cornell and Yale. Do you think you would be you in this forum if you had gone to those places?
Man, of course not, man. No telling. I might have been a crackhead somewhere. No telling where, I mean, like I said, I was 16 and impressionable. I was 16 and I was super green. Like I hadn't done much of nothing. I just went to, like when I was in school, I went to school and like I said, I would come, like my time to play was when I came home and went outside and played with my friends. Played football in the neighborhood, basketball in the neighborhood, ran around the neighborhood with my friends and try to get their mom, like, find out you got company to go play video games. Yeah. That was me before I went to college. Like I wasn't the one that was like, my mom had to worry about like, what talk hell, not a crackhead, yeah, a crackhead. But I wasn't the one where like some people who's 17, 18 years in college, like your parents got to like, look, your curfew is 12. Make sure you home at 12. Make sure you at 12:30, whatever your curfew is. My mom didn't give me a curfew because she was like, he don't be doing that. My mom had to force me to go to prom. She had to force me to go to a dance. I wasn't trying to go. I wanted to go outside and play with my friends. So I was a kid going to college. So this kid, you place him in upstate New York or in the Northeast where racism is worse in the Northeast than down South. And I feel like I can speak on that pretty accurately, living in New York for 8.5, 9 years, but then growing up in the South up until I was 30. I got that good experience. You put me in the Northeast with this type of dire racism, and I'm 16, and I don't know no better, and I'm just around nothing but white folks. Ain't no Black people, ain't no family, no nothing. Yeah. Like I was looking at colleges where I had no family, but I didn't know. I'm just like, I don't even know why I wanted to go to Cornell, like to tell you the truth. But I'm glad that I went to TSU because I got that family. Every year, I always know I got at least 1 week where I can go and be around Black folks and tap into my Black culture and be comfortable just talking, and I don't have to work. I know how to read Black women, I know how to read Black men, and I know that #MeToo ain't gonna sting me in 5 years because I know, this chick I went to school and come up with Fred said this and made me feel uncomfortable because I know the chicks I'm around, they be like, Fred, excuse me, stop, no. They gonna just check me off rip. I'm like, oh, my bad, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But around the other folks, they ha ha ha, smile, and then 5 years later, Fred made me feel uncomfortable. He made this comment. I'm like, what? Like, that ain't what that was, man. But it's too late because I'm canceled.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for that. Freddie, you said something that I thought was interesting, and I don't think I really thought about that. One of the myths of HBCUs is that they're not diverse. Now, we all know going to an HBCU, you will see diversity. You see, there are a lot of white people that go to the school. There are, different countries that go to the school. But the diversity that we never talk about is the diversity of us. It's the diversity of Black people. Me growing up in a white area, I would see, besides my family, a lot of the Black folks on TV thinking, oh, this is how Black folks, how they act. And I think a lot of white people see that as well too. So, going to an HBCU and the diversity of Black people, like you said, the nerds, the jocks, the Greeks, the cool nerds, the thoughts, all of them all in one. How they act in Memphis is different, like you said, how they act in Miami. And even, being from Nashville and Memphis, 2.5 hour difference. But my God, what a difference.
Yes.
So the diversity. I'm sorry, Sharika. But Nashville all day. But the diversity of us, is never talked about. And everyone says we're not a monolith. Like, we get it, but you actually see it when you go to an HBCU and you learn to, talk and be around a whole lot of different people, even though they might have your skin complexion and brown like you. Every skin folk ain't the kin folk.
Not at all.
Right. So I have another doctor that I'm going to pull up on, and then I'm going to show something and get you guys' opinion. And I believe we have another Meharry man. What is going on, Dr. Myron? How are you?
Doing good. How's everybody doing this evening?
Hi.
What's up, man?
What you repping today? What you got on?
I went to Morehouse for undergrad. So
oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, interesting story for me. So I went to Morehouse for undergrad, did post-bac at Morehouse School of Medicine, did a Master of Divinity at Interdenominational Theological Center before I went to dental school at Meharry. Not to brag on all the stuff I've done, but to show that how HBCUs have molded me and shaped me into the man I am today.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.